Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Inspired to Resign Your Weekly Wisdom. I am Tammy Jaffe, your host, helping you go from employees to entrepreneurs without all of the headaches. And this week we have a very special guest with us today, Linda Kaye, and we are going to be talking about how to position yourself with your audience for the right things that you want to offer. And Linda is I'm going to share a little bit of her bio and her background with you so that I don't mess it up. I'm going to read it here, but she was growing up the daughter of a lifelong entrepreneur. Linda's career as a sales coach, real estate broker, and #1 best-selling author, congratulations, Miracles on the Doorstep and Rock Your Life are her two books, leaves no doubt she has followed in her mother's footsteps. Since early 2000, Linda has sold and leased over $500 million in Southern California commercial real estate. She is a CEO of a real estate lifestyle change company, Open Roads, and shares her knowledge and sales skills in robust online courses. She volunteers in many communities projects in Malibu, where she resides, and nurtures an abundant hummingbird garden. So I love that, Linda. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Tammy. I'm doing great. I'm dressed for like cold weather because it was really raining this morning, and then I'm like looking outside and it's bright and shiny, and I'm like, okay, I may have to shed the coat.
Yes, I totally get it. We've been going through it was like 70 here this weekend, and then it was like 30 this morning. We're like, what is happening? Don't know how to dress anymore.
That's so bizarre. I was at a trade show last week. Remember those, Tammy?
Yes.
And it was live in person, and I left Los Angeles, and it was in the 70s and high 70s, and I got to Texas for a snowstorm in
Oh,
Dallas. Okay.
yes.
And nobody was expecting that kind of weather. It's so funny, when you're unprepared to do something like the city of Dallas was unprepared for snow.
Mm-hmm.
So, it made me think about how many times are we as entrepreneurs unprepared to do something until we're just literally pushed out into it and we got to go deal with it, right?
Yes, so true. Like it's like the unexpected, didn't expect it. And some of those things, like people should be expecting, but they don't know what to expect. And other things, it's like snow in Dallas, where it doesn't happen very often, and they're not prepared at all.
So true. So, so true.
Yes. Well, I want you to share with us what's some of the reasons that you see businesses failing when they're getting started.
Great question, Tammy. In fact, I watched one of my former students in an interview about 3 weeks ago, posed with that very same question. And his answer was not too much different than mine. Um, his answer was people give up too early. They give up too easily and they give up too soon because things will be hard. Listen, if being an entrepreneur was so easy, everybody would quit their jobs, their day jobs today, and forget the side hustle. They'd do that full time if it were that easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that easy, especially if you don't have systems or processes, or you find a place in your business that intimidates you because you don't have a full command of it. I can think of one instance, not only for that particular former client, but for all of us, we stumble with, how do we position ourselves to speak? How do we position ourselves to say what we do? Whether we're in an elevator or we're in a network event or we're at a live event, which we're getting back to. I can't wait.
Yes.
But understanding that, uh, we need to practice what we say we do and practice and understanding when we say it in a full sentence back and forth to each other can help us understand a little bit more about the practicalities of presenting ourselves and when we're talking to others, how we present ourselves.
Absolutely. And I just did a live workshop last week on your marketing message workshop. And we were like going through live with people on what is your message? How is that clear? Is that giving people direct feedback, having the audience say, okay, like, does that make sense? Does it not make sense? I totally agree. Like messaging can be such a key piece of it. And I love what you said, you've got to practice.
Even Axl Rose practices before he gets onto a stage and practices and does his rituals after he gets off the stage, in as much as Itzhak Perlman does that.
Mhm.
Now, why do the people that are so good and at the top of their game still practicing? Well, I think that it isn't about practicing so you can get better. In some instances, and for us, we are certainly practicing so that we get better, Tammy, but in their instance, or Suzanne's instance, where she's just looking at a sheet that's got 3 points on it and she's going to tell a full story from that, right? It isn't about making your strength stronger, it's strengthening your weakness. See, we don't get praised for doing it right,
Yeah,
right? So if we focus on our weakness, um, it's the fastest way for our business to grow. And
absolutely.
getting to that a little bit deeper, I want to know, what was the biggest problem that you saw with the messaging that your clients were doing in this workshop?
Yeah, great question. So, I also set them up to come up with a specific message so that we were all coming from the same place. So they had some time to work on it before I heard their message. But a lot of the times it's, you know, the generalities. They're speaking in lingo that only means something to them, or people that, if they're people who come from kind of a woo space, they speak in the woo language. Well, if the woo people aren't your people that you're trying to attract, you can't speak in that language. Or either, so they're using different lingo that doesn't make sense to a lot of people. They're trying to be cutesy, and cutesy isn't always getting the message across.
It
And
isn't. You're right. I mean, I can tell you, and I'm looking for a couple of instances that I literally coached on this, where
mhm,
people would come on to the call. I'd say, tell me a little bit about yourself. Isn't that just how you would do this in a networking environment? Or, you're at a trade show and you're meeting somebody for the first time and you really want to get out there and say, what do you do, right?
yeah,
And then they stumble and they go, if it takes you if it takes you 45 words or more to explain what you do, you've missed your audience.
hmm,
I mean, have you ever been at a network event where you're told, okay, you get 2 minutes and then we'll time and then go to the other 2 minutes, to go to the other person for 2 minutes? And have you ever spoken to somebody that they weren't done talking in their 2 minutes and they're now
yes,
into your 2 minutes? And you might
yep.
have 10 or 15 seconds left where you get to explain, are you going to go back and talk to that person?
Yeah, probably not. And those are the same people who you usually still don't quite understand what they do, right? You're still like trying to figure it out because they're just talking and they're not really using the right words. So I know you have a process for this, and I can't wait for you to share this with our audience. So tell us, what do you think it is, that people need to be saying? And you've got this, like, you got to get it down to that 45 words or less. So
Oh no,
share with us.
I'm all about 15 words.
Yes.
Okay? Because if you have to, well, it's kind of like this and it's sort of like that, it isn't. It
Hmm.
really isn't. And when you get really clear about what your value is and what your understanding of what the other person wants, you're going to make a connection. And I
Yeah.
call it the secret language of sales. Now, why is it a secret? Probably because a lot of people don't use it and they don't understand what it is. When we say sales, they go like, oh God, oh no, please don't say that word in public, right?
Yeah.
If we don't have sales, we have a hobby. So
Absolutely.
now I call it the secret sales because we want to be able to close business faster. That's really the
Mhm.
ideal, right? So if you understand that people love to buy, but they hate to be sold, you'll understand the whole process about what journey we're about to go on in the next few minutes, okay? So what is it? I teach a method that basically teaches you how to connect what your audience wants with what you deliver, but said in a way that they've never heard it before. right? So
Yeah.
because it's what they want, not what you sell, that they buy.
Right.
And when you get that connection, when people get you, right? When they get that sense, oh, I know that that may not be for me, but I know exactly who that fits and who needs to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't you just saved yourselves both a little bit of time because they're not your ideal client? But when you understand how to speak to your avatar, what your avatar wants is very, very specific. So I have two elements for that. I call it a right hook and a pivot. Now, don't worry, we're not going to punch anybody.
Good, good.
But it's a hook, okay? So think of a hook as one of your favorite songs. And I always ask somebody, "What's your favorite song?" And they ponder. So I'm going to help your audience. Think of your favorite Queen song, okay? And then I want you to think about their chorus. Now, don't go to Bohemian Rhapsody because that goes a little bit different direction. Think of "We Are the Champions. We are," and it's all about "We Are the Champions." It's the memorable part of the song. So even
Mm-hmm.
if they sang the entire lyrics, and you may not know any of those lyrics, or if you're really good and you heard it, you sing all the lyrics right along with them. But think of "Sweet Caroline." Right? Everybody knows the lyrics to those, but everybody goes at the hook. Bum, 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 sweet Caroline. Do it. Come on, Tammy.
Yep.
Bum, bum,
Bum,
bum.
bum.
So the bum, bum, bum becomes the hook, right?
Yes.
So we need that hook. If we understand that we get a hook, the hook is the attention grabber. It's the attention grabber that seduces the heart, that says, oh, that's just what I want. Because the heart's like a little kid, right?
Yeah.
It knows what it wants. And so, like a song and a great song, products or our services need a memorable hook, but it's said in a way that your audience has never heard it before. So, let me give you an example. I'm sure that many of your clients are thinking about being in the health industry or the weight, health industry, weight control, or healthy living, healthy style, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say that you sell a diet pill to help lose weight. Well, that
Yeah.
doesn't really land, does it? Because having a diet pill that helps you lose weight, well, that's kind of a so what? Yeah, all right. There's nothing that's differentiated what you do from them being able to get into a car, drive down to CVS and get a 30-day supply for a fraction of the cost, right?
Yeah.
So, what if I said this in a way that they've never heard it before? So, this diet pill will help you lose weight without diet or exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, you mean I can still eat, I can still have my wine, I don't have to exercise, I don't have to get into sweats, and I can still lose weight?
Yes.
That is exactly what I'm looking for, right? And
Yep.
so now what happens curiously is that the heart has said, this is exactly what I've been looking for, and you have now seduced the heart because the heart wants this to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Now the heart says yes, but the head says what? Yeah, I'm not buying this.
Sure.
I don't believe any of this. I've
Yeah.
heard this before. What a bunch of, right.
Yeah.
So now the head is doing its job. It's doing its job. Its job is to protect the heart, to keep it from being disappointed, to keep it from being taken advantage of. So, or to keep it from being hurt. So you need to immediately engage the head in a way that it does and continues to do its job. Because if you said, okay, no, I know what you're thinking. We'll get to that objection in just a minute because we will have to handle the objection.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get the head engaging with what we want it to do so it eliminates its own objectives automatically. Because if you leave an objection on the table, Tammy, you won't close. You won't close a sale. And so what you want this to do is sound completely natural, very conversational, non-manipulative. So how do you do that? This is the pivot that I was just talking about, and I have two magic words. There's lots more, but I'm only going to give you two today, all right? Because we can remember two. So I'm going to use the word remember. because I could paint a picture all day long and tell you all kinds of things about my proof and all these other things. But the minute I say remember, the brain is now engaged in things that it knows how to do extremely well. It remembers every episode, it remembers every event, it remembers people, it remembers all kinds of things. So we engage it to do exactly what we want it to do. So let's just say that this person is speaking to a group of people and they know that they're going to be going to a reunion. So let's use a reunion as an example, or a family event where there's going to be a family reunion where people that saw you before that you haven't seen for a while, right? So we're just going to use the word remember. So I'm going to use reunion as our example. Remember when you looked like this, okay? And you just paint a word picture, right? Remember that cute little red dress that you were wearing at the last reunion, or remember. So you're using the word remember, and now the brain is completely and totally and fully engaged in remembering that hot little outfit. And you can go even wider if you're speaking to an audience, but let's just keep it, really tight, right? So the brain is now thinking about that. So whether or not you were talking to a group, and you'll be able to see this in your own group that you're speaking to if they're engaged. If they're not engaged, they're thinking about something, and they're thinking about that cute little red dress or those high heels that you were wearing. So you can divert the other group, and you even had some great sex in that too. I mean, you can go really wide with it, right? And then I'm going to use now the second word because I want them to pivot. So each one of these words are really designed for you to pivot. So the first one was to remember, engage in that recordation of their entire life. And you haven't said anything that you're not comfortable with, that's not conversational, that is manipulative. You're only asking them to remember an event, a period of time. And now you're going to use the second one. You're going to use the word imagine. And I like to use this and use some kinetic with this, but so I always say, just watch me closely. Imagine every head turning as you walk into the room, you looking that good and losing that weight. See what this just did? So, the key here is that there's a lot more to be able to say about this, but when I go through this exercise with people, they think, well, how does that really apply to my business? How does that really apply to what I do? Think about, what does your audience want that you provide? Because, and it's not about the benefit of this, right? It's what they want. Remember, the diet pill is telling them that they get to lose weight. Yeah, of course, that's what they want, but that's not what the heart wants. They want the result without having to do all that work, without the pain. How many of y'all want to sign up and we all get to be really miserable and go into pain? Nobody. Nobody does that. So the heart wants what it wants. It's that little kid in the candy shop that says, give it to me. I want that. I want to lose weight without diet or exercise. And that's really as simple as it is. Because if you lack clarity in your message, you're going to create confusion in your offer.
Yes, absolutely.
So I want to hear more about how did you get people down, or distill it down to what their message was?
Yeah. So a couple of things we did is we talked about what is that result that you're getting them, right? The imagine in your words. And so we talked about what it is that they really want. Where do they want to go? Because it's not, we always talk about, it's not what people need, it's what they want. And a lot of times coaches speak in terms of need, like I'm going to take you through this process because that's what you need, and I'm going to make you do these things because that's what you need.
And isn't that just what we want to do? We want to take that. We want to get on that treadmill and tell our clients that they need to also.
Right. No one wants to do that. Yes. No one wants to do the work. And so, you've got to what is that result they want, focusing on the result, focusing on where they want to go, what that point B, C, D, whatever you're taking them is for them. And being able to describe that in a way that's their words, right? So I I love the remember and imagine because, and especially in some of the longer texts too, you can see how those come out. Like this is what was happening. Remember this is what was going on. And now imagine if your life could look like this. We see that in a lot of the flow of copywriting as well and written language, and then being able to speak it so that people understand it.
There's one other thing that I would add to this, Tammy, and that is that I said a few minutes ago that you need to handle your objections.
Mhm.
So you have to assume that there will be objections. And if somebody doesn't go, oh, come on, I've heard that all before, or they're just trying to be polite and they've got the bobbing head, they're acknowledging you and they're trying to
Yeah.
be very polite, right? But in their mind, they're thinking something else. Go right out and say it. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking this can't possibly work. Isn't that right?
Mhm.
Right? So whatever their objection is going to be from uh, whatever your service or your product does for somebody, remember, people, you don't want to sell by benefit. You want to sell the result.
Yeah, absolutely.
The result is what they're looking for. So make sure that you weave that into your conversation, weave that into how that benefits your client, and what the result of that is. And see if you can't distill what you do down to a simple hook.
Mhm. Yes, I love that. And because it is the biggest reason that people don't buy or people don't want to know more, people don't ask you questions and you get the nodding head, like you were saying. It's, you get the reaction of, oh, that's nice. And then they turn and want to talk to somebody else.
Right? So they're
You know,
looking for the exit sign. Listen,
yeah.
or the next
Like,
glass
how
of champagne.
Yes. And so you want the reaction of, oh my gosh, I know exactly who you need to work with, or oh my goodness, I need to know more because I'm struggling with that. And that's when you know you've hit the right person. So,
That's because you've actually made that connection of human spirit, Tammy, what you were just talking about, which is, understanding what people want
mhm,
with what you deliver, but said in a way that they've never heard it before, because that is the attention grabber. That's going to be the vehicle for which you are going to be able to land that great conversation with somebody. And I'll tell you, one great sales conversation can change your entire career.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I totally can. And it gives you that confidence to then go have the next, amazing sales conversation. And then you keep going from there. So I know you have a really special gift to share with everyone as well. So tell us what that is.
Okay, great. Thank you for asking. I have something called the 5 principles of a great conversation. People that are struggling with, how do I get into this conversation? How do I tell them what I do? How do I figure out? This takes the mystery out of it. It's a really, really happy. It's an acronym called HAPPY, and I have designed it so that it takes you through the beginning of a conversation to a middle of a conversation to the end of a conversation, and how to ask for or take a call to action. Because the last thing you want to do is sound like a sleazy salesperson.
Yes, exactly.
This will eliminate it. So, um,
Awesome.
where
Yeah.
do we put that information in, Tammy?
Yeah, we'll put it in the comments right after we end the live and we'll share that with everybody so you can go grab that. Definitely want to get it because having that clear message and having a good call to action, the next step of the piece of that are so critical. And making sure you have that next step for them, right? So it's not just about telling them what you do, but what's that next step? What is that call to action? And thinking to process through. So, I always love to give you guys a challenge at the end of these. So I challenge you to share your message with us in the comments. What is your little intro, some people call it the elevator pitch, some people call, your message that you're going and talking at networking events in 20 to 30 words max, right? Like keeping this simple share it with us. And Linda and I will share some comments and let you know how we think, what we think of it. So you get some direct feedback from us just by sharing it in the comments. So we want to hear what your message is. We want to hear what you're doing. And let's see how we can beef it up and make it a little more fun and exciting and hit the heart like Linda was talking about so that you're helping them overcome those objections, getting them to that tangible result you're going to get them. And it's really clear. And they're like, yes, 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 I need to work with them. Awesome. Share that with us in the comments. If you guys have questions for Linda or myself, you can always post them in the comments as well. Linda, it was so great having you here with us today. And thank you
It
for all
is my pleasure.
yes, this wisdom and knowledge you've shared with us. Go grab Linda's gift, and we will see you next week on our weekly wisdom.
Thank you all.